December is that time of year when the bass are not playing around. The water's cold, the shad are just starting to bunch back up good and tight, and the bite is super tough. But there's some good news. When you throw the right 5 baits in December, you don't have to go the whole day fishing and not catching. That's right, geeks. So today I'm going to give you the 5 baits. Now there might be different variations of them, but these are the 5 baits that I guarantee anywhere in the country you can catch a fish. You might vary your colors a little bit, but you will catch a fish in December on one of these 5 baits. So let's jump right in and let's get started. So when the winter comes and the lakes start to drop, they can dirty up a little bit, especially up in the creek arms. And, you know, those major creeks, especially if we get a little bit of rain. And if we get a little warm up during December, which does happen, there's times when we've actually had Christmas cookouts instead of Christmas dinner. A crankbait is one of the funnest ways to get out on the water and catch them in December. And there's a certain few that I like more than any. Now this is the baits really in December over the years. These are the baits that I've caught them on, hands down, I've caught them on. And we're gonna start with this little bait right here, the DT series. Now, depending on where you're at, how deep, how shallow, I can throw this. This is the DT10 or a square bill in my parts of the woods. Just kidding. But because we fish such steep, deep areas, generally I'm going to throw the 14, the 16, and the 20 this time of year. A 10 if it's a little dirtier, but this is a great little crankbait. A little flatter sided, a little more subtle than some of the others. And you can reel it even in colder water a little bit quicker. Now this is the Shad Rap 8. A lot of people love to use those 5s and smaller versions. I've got almost every version you can think of. This is the good old school crawl color that I love so much. And it's one of the most subtle. It is like a wintertime staple. If you're not throwing a Shad Rap by Rapala, what are you throwing in the wintertime? But these things get bit a lot. You're probably going to want to throw them on a BFS would be great for this, but we normally throw them on spinning reels. Another great crankbait this time of year is the Bandit 300. The 200, the 300, the 100. If it's a Bandit, it's an incredible crankbait. And these are some of the greatest wintertime crankbaits you will ever find. This is going to dive from 8 to 12 feet depending on the line. It's really subtle, really finesse. Once you get it down there real quick, you can just slowly work it, and it's going to have this nice little wobble and move and hunt. That's what makes it one of the best wintertime crankbaits. And because I've got a ton of rock, this really is one of my favorites. Even on the clear lakes, this I think is Phantom Green Pumpkin Crawl. It might be Phantom Watermelon. Either way, it's an incredible color. But the Rock Crawler 55, this thing is going to get down 9 to 14 foot. And when it gets down, it's got a great wobble and just hunts through those rocks. That's why I love it so much. Just so many good catches on these baits right here. So crankbaits are probably my number 5 on the list. And by the way, there's a few other crankbaits that I didn't really talk about in here. Some honorable mentions. I'll put everything down in the description below. By the way, if you want to support the channel, really the best way to support the channel for us, we don't do memberships or anything like that because we want to include every single geek. We want to help every single bass geek out there catch more fish. And so the best way is if you're going to go buy some baits or a rod reel or even a, graph, make sure you go check and bookmark the link in the description that says Tackle Warehouse. Be one of the first links down there, or scan the QR code right here and just put it on your phone and bookmark it. And when you go out, just use that link, that bookmark, and you don't have to do anything else. It doesn't cost you a penny extra if you're going to buy baits anyway, but it does help us out a ton, and we appreciate it. All right, now let's get to number 4. All right, so this is one you haven't heard me talk about in a little while because there's been so many other good ones, but I gotta stop leaving this one in the box. This is the Rapala Shadow Wrap, and it's a slow sinker, and I tell people this all the time. I think this is the ghost shad or the mossback. I don't really remember the color of this one, but those are two. I believe this is the ghost shad. The thing about these baits, I've never caught a lot on these particular jerk baits, but it seems like they catch big ones for some reason. Anytime I'm out and I'm throwing some other jerk bait, if I need to catch a big one or a kicker and they're on that jerk bait bite, this little bait right here, it's the one that comes out of the box. Now this is a new bait, and I love to downsize this time of year, especially in December. They're still chasing those smaller shad, and this is the new Flashpoint Junior. They come in the deep version, which is what I have here, and the standard, diving version. But again, I'm on these Highlands reservoirs, so everything I'm throwing is going to be a deep version. This is an incredible little bait. I love the blade in the front, gives it a unique flash. It's got a great underwater slashing action, and I love the down scaled size. I also love that they put 3 sets of hooks on here. A lot of times you'll get these smaller baits, these smaller jerk baits, and they'll just be 2 hooks. Love the 3 hooks. Now I've got my other one tied on, but this probably is a year-round go-to for me in clear water, and it is incredible in December. This is the Vision 110 +1 Junior, again the deep version, but I love this color, matte shad. I'm telling you, more of you jerkbait manufacturers really need to come out with these matte colors. They are just a go-to in my region, and this has caught me more fish on a jerkbait than probably any other jerkbait out. And this little bait has really taken me by storm. A lot of you guys already kind of knew about it. This is the Dinky Abyss 90. So it's got a nice small profile. I'll kind of give you, it's got a nice small profile, about the same size as that. It's got a little more girth to it. It's a little rounder. It's got a wider wobble and jerk to it. It's got that big bill on it, so it's going to get down really deep, and comes in some great colors too. This is mossback. It's my go-to color, and I know it's probably not going to show up, but it's got a nice kind of gold back and a little bit of purple on the side, and a nice translucent kind of pearlescent purple and chartreuse down there, while all at the same time being translucent. This bait does a lot, but it is an incredible bait, and I love to throw it over brush piles right now and get it down really deep. They just react to this, A, because it's smaller, B, because it's got some girth to it. Take a drink, geeks! Now, moving on to number 3, what I like this time of year, and I always keep tied on, is some sort of jig. And there's 2 jigs that I prefer. This is the Omega football jig, or, and I don't have one with me right now, they have a Finesse football jig. So it's really the same size, it's just got a Finesse skirt, maybe a little bit smaller hook and a little bit finer weed guard. Great bait. And the trailers, again, I don't have all the trailers with me, so I'm going to put some down in the description. I will tell you what they are. This is the Adrenaline Crawl from XZone Lures. Love this all by itself. But I slowly go away during the winter time if I'm flipping, once that water temp really gets down into that, let's say 50s. That's when I start to go away from just throwing plastics, unless it's some sort of straight tail worm, to a jig for me, because the plastic's going to harden up just a little bit. The other type of jig that I love to use is a finesse, and I love a ball head jig, but a finesse ball head jig, something that's small. I love a tungsten because this is a 1/2 ounce head, and I can get it down pretty deep. But this is an angler tungsten ball head jig. Love this jig. Like I said, this is a 1/2 ounce, great little jig for the size. Now the trailer that I like to put on it, that's going to be a nice little rage crawl this time of year. Got just a little bit of flat, but when you're dragging it, it's just going to sit there and barely move with the water current. So great combination, nice little simple combo in trailers there. So what ends up happening in December, at least in my area, is during the fall, the bass feed, right? So they're fed up, and then at some point in time, it's like even me, you know, when I go to the Chinese buffet, at some point in time, I just got to walk away. So what ends up happening is the major feed, when they're just feeding like sharks, slows down. They'll tend to go to someplace nice and warm and settle. You know how it is. You ate a big meal, you want to sit back, rub your belly, maybe unbutton your pants. Well, that's what kind of happens. But unfortunately, the water temps are dropping. So what happens is the bass tend to go to those areas that still hold heat, certain sort of rocks, certain sort of wood, certain sort of boat docks and marinas, that they can still be around a little bit of extra heat and a little bit of extra food that's going to congregate around those same areas. Now, you can see a ton of shad that's still out in the open water, but there's no bass to be found sometimes around these shad because they're doing other things. But as we get into December, you really start to see those balls of shad kind of go from these spotty balls or on the bottom to big balls of shad. And there's going to be a lot of bass starting to get hungry again. Just like me, that Chinese food or that big steak maybe that I'm going out to eat, eventually it's going to run through. And that means old Hank going to be hungry again. So during December, the bass start to pull out there and feed. Now their metabolism is a little bit slower, but believe it or not, they're feeding more than you think, especially the smallmouth, and I'd say the spots do too. Largemouth, not quite as much. They're going to stay a lot of times a little closer to the banks and that sort of stuff, but don't be fooled. They'll get out there too when they're hungry enough. And that's when we pull out the old jig head minnow. Now, there's a few jig head minnows that I have been using quite a bit. And I'm going to show you my two go-to heads first off. Number one, and this is it's going to carry over into some other places, but this is the Angler Tungsten Eclipse head. This is probably a 3/8 ounce head right here, and I love, love, love the eyes. Now, this is a question I'm going to ask you also. Hit the comment section down below. When you're throwing, say, minnow baits or let's say finesse swim baits that don't have eyes, do you like a jig head that does? I am a big fan of it. I'm telling you, me and Mike were out last year and we noticed it made a big difference. So we started drawing eyes on our other jig heads. But again, this is one of my go-tos for a couple different applications. Next up, this is the Queen's Tackle Rolling Strolling Jig Head. This is also a tungsten jig head, and if you need a bait to roll, you don't have to worry about what kind of bait it is. This will roll anything, and that's why I like it. If I'm not interested in a roll, and I'm telling you, there's a time when you want a subtle roll, there's a time when you want no roll, and just a little quiver. And when you want a good roll though, this is where I go. And it doesn't matter which bait it is, this is the head you want to use when you need a little bit of roll action. Now, these are the 4 go-to minnow baits for me. And this is a new color. It just come out at ICAST. They just released it. I believe ICAST. This is Pro Green Pearl. And in the clear water, this has become one of my go-to colors when it comes to the Yum FF Sonar minnow. Now, they do come, my go-to still the 3-inch. They do come in the 4 and 5-inch now also. So match the hatch. Next up is the Z2. Now we call this the baby Z2, but this is, I believe, I always get this color wrong, Gray Glimmer Pearl. Incredible little color, and like I always say, this is, you know, the stretchy plastic, so it is pretty buoyant and it is very durable. But this is one of my go-to baits when it comes to the ultra clear water. Next up is my XZone Rally Shad. Now what I like about this, it's kind of the same thing that I like about the Dinky Abyss. It's 3.75 inches, and I think they make a 4.75 or 4.52. This is my go-to size. This is in smelt, but it's very much, I love that color. It reminds me of kind of that ghost shad too, and it's great in the clear water, but it's got a little bit of girth to it. Got a little bit of round girthiness to it, and I think that just makes a good big fat meal for those big fat bass. Last but not least, man, this is about as finesse gets. This is the Dinky Armor Shad, and this is American Shad. So a really finesse little bait right here. And what I love about it is I think a lot of people have kind of moved on to a lot of other baits, when this right here still gets me a ton of bites in the wintertime. Heck, it gets me a ton of bites in the summer, the spring, the fall, you name it. It gets me bites then because it's so finessey. It comes in a lot of different colors, so you know, it's just such a good bait. And it also does come in a couple of different sizes. They just dropped the new fat. I can't wait to get out around some smallmouth and try that. And it comes in a 4-inch and a 5-inch also. Now, if I had to have a bite, zeroed all day, just wanting to make sure I caught something, anything, there's one bait in December that I'm gonna pick up. Several different colors, but there's one bait that I'm gonna pick up. And it's gonna start with the Angler Tungsten Eclipse Head. Again, love those eyes. Tell me if you are an eye guy down in the comment section. But I love this because it's got the screw lock, and it will save some of these because they're ultra crazy soft and they get tore up so easy. Got a good hook on them. They come in a couple of different hook sizes, and they do now come in a couple of different head colors too. We were actually using their matte black head today. So they come in a couple different sizes, couple different colors, and just really good heads. And number one on the December list, it's got to be a Finesse swim bait for me. Now, I love to throw some bigger soft plastic swim baits during December and January also, but if I had to get a bite, this is what it's going to be on. This is the Keitech Swing Impact Fat. This is a go-to in my area. And there's two sizes that I'm going to throw 99% of the time. This is the 3.3, but the two go-to sizes for me this time of year has got to be these two little baits right here. This is also the Keitech Swing Impact Fat in the 2.8, but this is the XZone Lure Swammer in the 2.75. And I mean, I'll put really good size heads, 1/4 ounces, 3/8 ounce heads on these, and fish them really deep, really slow, and they just get choked. Now, in December, there are a couple of other heads that I like to use, and I'll put my 3 favorite versions of these down in the description below, along with everything else. Again, remember, bookmark those because it does help the channel. It's the best way to support us. And that's what I call the screw heads. Now this one is by XZone Lures, and this is called their propeller head, but there's a couple others out there that I really like, and they make in bigger sizes too. And so that's number one. I'm telling you, in December, if you want to get bit, you got to pick up one of these right here. It works every time. I'm not telling you you're going to catch a new PB on them, but you might. And I want to know what your December top 5 is in your area. So tell me, hey, tell me if you even get to fish most of the time in December in your area. Some of you guys up north, you might be iced out right now. So let us know what your December top 5 is. And now this video is a little old school, but you should really go check it out. And it's talking about winter time crankbaits. You can go right here and check that video out. Otherwise, questions and comments in the comment section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure you ring that bell. Be part of the 100% Watch Squad, and you geeks rock.